Hello and welcome to another episode of UpGrade with Maria Kay, the podcast where your success, freedom and happiness get a weekly boost. And a huge warm welcome to you whether you are returning or whether it's your very first time. Either way, I'd like to take a second to congratulate you for showing up, taking this time out for you and your personal life upgrade, because I know life is likely to be very busy and it takes tough choices to choose an activity that is leaning towards you living a better life. If you're just coming across this podcast and you don't know me at all, I'm Maria Kay and I help people all over the world convert their dreams into reality and raise the level of areas of their life that they're currently unhappy with, from mediocre to outstanding. My focus is on success, freedom and happiness, because I strongly believe that the three go hand in hand. You cannot have success if you're not happy. You are not happy if you're not free. And this has been true for me and also true for all of my clients and students all over the world. If you want to hear more of my story, then go back to the beginning of the podcast archives. And there I share very honestly and in depth how I came to do what I do today. Now I'm currently in India, Goa to be specific, my winter home, my location for the winter months. And I wasn't born here. I don't have any familial connections here. So how did I end up here? Well, it was a clear decision based on very divine inner guidance. The next rung of the ladder, so to speak, the next phase of the mountain climb, which is my upgrade journey. I have been constantly upgrading for as long as I can remember. And for the most part, it's been an awesome trip. That saying comes to mind. It's the journey is the destination, right? The journey is the destination. However, today's topic is based on my wish to uncover some of the truths that you may not be aware of regarding your upgrade journey, your ascension journey, your spiritual journey, perhaps. Actually inspired by a client of mine this past week during our session, where they asked the question, is it supposed to be this tough? And then made the statement, I had no idea it would be this tough. Now, I must stress and have you bear in mind that this client came in with a deep desire to have a loved one in their life, to have a partner, a life partner, a lover, after a traumatic breakdown of their previous relationship. And within the first 2 weeks of our work together, that wish was fulfilled. So I must give you the good points, the positive points, right? The good news first, so to speak. But this week's topic is brought to you with the intention to put you in the picture, to shine the light on all of the areas and the inner workings of an upgrade journey. Because I want you to know the truth. And equipped with that truth, I want you to become as empowered as you possibly can as you walk through to the next phase of your upgrade journey. So stick with me as I talk you through the truth of upgrading your life. It isn't always glamorous or easy. Now, one of the main reasons for me bringing this subject to you today, it could be perceived as quite grim, quite negative, maybe expecting the worst, maybe even playing around with the law of attraction in the wrong way. But that's not my intention. My intention is, and the biggest premise behind me bringing you this topic is so that you don't have a shock and then quit. And perhaps uttering the words, well, no one ever told me that it was supposed to be this hard. I just thought it wasn't meant to be, or it wasn't for me, or I was doing something wrong, or maybe it wasn't the right time. So I want to dispel all of those myths. I want to, as I said previously, hand you back your power so that you can make a clear, conscious decision to keep going no matter what and not quit. Because as I've previously said also, my passion is your upgrade. Your dreams are my passion. Therefore, I'm willing to stick my neck out to give you all of the information, even if you may find it a little bit grim or uncomfortable. So if you haven't already done so, hop along over to the Facebook group, UpGrade with Maria Kay, where you'll be able to share your experiences, where you'll be able to give me feedback after each podcast, where you'll be able to make requests perhaps for future podcast topics. And also if you'd like to request a one-to-one conversation with me, then the link to do that is right there in the Facebook group. So UpGrade with Maria Kay, go and search it. And I really, really look forward to hearing from you. So when I first started to upgrade my life, it kind of happened by accident to the point where I became conscious of it. We are on a constant life upgrade, for the most part, one that we are totally unaware of. But when I first became aware and conscious, I naively started to believe that because I was being a good spiritual girl by meditating and practicing forgiveness and practicing yoga and doing most of the things that a lot of us deem to be good spiritual practice, I naively believed that I was going to be taken care of, that all of my traumas and my struggles were behind me, that life was now going to be that bed of roses that we all hear of, and that I need not worry about anything. So I very quickly went from flying high above the clouds, having just come out of a very difficult situation in my life and having connected to many of the truths of the universe, many of my truths, and having shifted a lot of my blocks and barriers. I went from flying high above the clouds to absolute discomfort. And the thing is that when you start to shed layers of the layers that life has draped upon you, you start to become more sensitive and you feel things a lot stronger. And that is exactly what can happen. It happened to me, and you may be experiencing it now. If you are, do jump into the Facebook group and let me know. So what we can find is that our highs at the beginning are really high, but our lows are also really low. And it takes time and it takes attention to our emotional intelligence. It takes attention to what is going on an emotional level, and the mechanisms and the strategies that we employ to deal with those extreme highs and extreme lows before we're able to find a nicer balance, a more manageable, more comfortable balance. So expect there to be low points just as much as you expect there to be high points. My advice here is to be as patient as you possibly can with yourself, with the process, with who you're becoming, and also what you are shedding. You are moving into one of the most amazing phases of your life. You will never ever be going back to who you were and how you operated in the world. So it requires patience. And another thing it requires is a lot of detachment. Detachment from the old you, from your old life, even perhaps from the people that were in your life. Patience and detachment. And that sometimes means taking a nap. It sometimes means saying no to certain demands that people or that life around you is making. And one of my most favorite mantras for such periods of time is "this too shall pass," because it always does. And when we can allow ourselves to take a step away and rather than intertwine ourselves in the dramas, we find that whatever it is we're experiencing will pass a lot quicker. So the second truth is your mind will play games with you. Our mind can be our best friend, but it can also be our worst enemy. Now, some of you may like to use the term ego mind or wrong mind or dense mind or lower mind or negative mind. We're just going to use the term mind just for now, for simplicity's sake. Now, our mind is an absolute power tool and has the capacity to assist us, if we program it right, to completely transform our life. We're talking rags to riches. We're talking overweight to ideal weight. We're talking surviving to thriving. We're talking huge transitions and transformations. But it's quite likely that our mind in the initial phases will play games with us, and not the kind of games that are going to be very fun. It's likely you'll have negative stories on loop going round and round and round as if you're watching the same horror movie over and over again. It's likely that your fears will be right at the forefront of your thoughts, which will not only make you feel absolutely awful and uncomfortable, but will slow you down if you do not pay attention and you don't do something specific to reprogram those fear-based thoughts. It's likely that your mind will conjure up every single story under the sun to have you quit, or to encourage you to wait or procrastinate, or choose the option that is clearly the long route or the most arduous route towards your upgrade. Your mind is likely to go into battle also with your heart. Your heart is likely to be leading the way. It's feeding you from a very deep and sacred divine space inside of you. It's feeding you into your conscious mind, hopefully, where you need to go. It's helping to navigate you. It's feeding you your deepest desires, which are indications of where you should be moving towards. Yet your mind will jump in there and cause an absolute chaotic mess, going to war almost with your heart. And we hear this argument a lot: heart versus mind, mind versus heart. And it's likely to cause you so much confusion, absolute confusion and overwhelm. Your heart is telling you very clearly, for example, where you need to go or what decision you need to make. And then in jumps your mind and makes you second guess yourself, makes you completely unclear in the next breath as to what you should do. So the mind is likely to play games. Once you can be aware of this, you can then take the necessary steps to reprogram your mind into a space, into a mindset that is supportive of where you are desiring to go and who you are desiring to be, rather than hindering. Truth number 3 is that people that you love may ridicule you and in extreme cases may even abandon you as you focus fully on creating a divine transformation in your life. The people around you are currently there because they have served some kind of purpose. They were right for you, or you were right for them for that period of time. But now that you are making conscious, clear, and laser-focused efforts to move yourself from where you are now to a place of upgrade, it is likely to ruffle many feathers. Now, the individual reasons and the inner workings of the encounters and the relationships that you have will be unique to you and the other person. But in general, just having that knowledge that it's not you and it's not even necessarily them, it is the very nature of evolution, which is what your upgrade journey is. It's you evolving into a better version of yourself. Again, I always repeat this, not to say that you're broken or that you're wrong, but by your very nature as a human being, you desire more. Now, you desire more, it doesn't mean that the people around you desire the same things as you, or even understand what you desire, or even agree with it. And sometimes it can simply ruffle their feathers and you can clear things up with some great, honest conversation. Other times it is a no-go. It's too much for them. Not to go too much into detail because we've got a lot to get through, but often it ruffles other people's feathers because it forces them to look at their own stuff. It forces them to delve deep into the inner workings of their life, their desires, their dreams, and perhaps to the extent that they are ignoring who they desire to become and what they want their life to be. And as you step out boldly from that place perhaps of stuckness, of mediocre, of years worth of ignoring who you want to become and what you want to become, it's way too much for them to swallow. Another aspect is that we each have our very own unique journeys to travel. And sometimes people come into our life for a very long time. Sometimes the phases are very clear. There's a beginning and there's an end. So just know that as you move forward, it may ruffle feathers. You may even see people dropping off from your experience, from your existence, from your life. And as uncomfortable as that may be, as tough as that may be, even if it's somebody that you work with, even if it's somebody that is merely an acquaintance, all the way up to a lover, a partner, a parent even, the difficulties can be exactly the same. It is really like losing somebody for good. And there needs to be a period of grieving. There needs to be a period of mourning, gentleness, peace, acceptance, and an active and conscious effort of letting go. The fact that you're here listening to this indicates to me that you're well aware that Making radical changes in your life requires time, attention, focus, and motivation. You understand on some level that you need to be doing something different in order to reap different rewards in your life. The bigger the focus, the bigger and deeper and more rapid the transformation. Now, it's very normal and very easy to slip into a state of resentment towards the amount of time, energy, and effort that we need to be putting into our upgrade journey. Now, whatever area of your life you're currently upgrading, and it could be absolutely any area, it could just be the way that you do your morning ritual in the morning, rather than leaving getting out of bed till the last minute and being completely in a hurry, and then your day is kind of following the same theme for the rest of the day. You may be seeking to upgrade your morning routine so you wake up slightly earlier, you're able to have a nourishing breakfast, shower in leisure, so on and so forth. Right. When we talk about upgrade, it can be from the most minutest way of approaching life to the biggest thing, like radically upgrading your business to the next income bracket. But whatever your current focus may be, it's regardless, it's irrelevant. It still requires time, energy, and focus. Now, it's easy to fall into a state of resentment towards that time that we need to spend. And this is where victim mode sets in a little bit. Oh, poor me. I need to wake up an hour earlier so that I can do my affirmations, write my letter to the universe, and meditate. Isn't life just so hard? I really miss waking up and drinking my double espresso coffee and having my cinnamon bun on the way to work, and arriving at work all stressed and all mangled for the day. Poor me. And this is where our kind of teenage theme comes in, where we kind of, or even our toddler tantruming, when we stomp our feet and we blame and we point the finger and we bat the responsibility over to somebody else. So in answer to this truth, it's a truth, it does happen. Believe me, I'm putting both hands up. It happens to me, I still have to check myself. But in answer to that truth, I'd like to invite you to simply do one thing. Take responsibility. The same way that you are responsible for the desires that you have, you are also responsible for the solutions to those desires, or the means of converting those desires from simply thoughts and dreams into a life that you wake up to every day. So when you do have difficulty with that resentment, what I'd like you to simply focus on is the end result, and why, the big why, you decided to make those changes in the first place. If you've decided that you'd like a more peaceful mind and an ability to remain in a place of tranquility regardless of what's going on around you, and you've made the decision to meditate for 15 minutes in the morning before you start your day, then what you need to do is connect yourself instantly back to the end result. More peace, more tranquility, a heightened ability to remain in alignment regardless of what's going on at work, with the kids, with your finances, with your spouse, and so on. And make peace with the time that you are spending on your upgrade journey. Change your perception of that time, and rather than sitting in resentment, shift it over to gratitude. I am so grateful that I have the freedom to choose how to spend my time, and I have the ability and the capacity to actually change my life. Truth number 4, and this is a biggie: all of your insecurities, fears, past wounds, upsets, confusions, blocks and struggles will make an appearance, even if you thought you'd already dealt with them. Also, ones that you had no idea existed within you will emerge, they'll appear. And what can happen is, as we are focusing in on one specific area, perhaps you're growing a passion-based business and you are now at the phase where you need to talk about your business to potential clients and explain to them what you offer. And at that point, whereas you had no idea that this existed inside of you, you start to detect an aversion to sales or even speaking highly of yourself. So clearly, there lies an opportunity for you to clear, release, and convert that either that belief or that fear or whatever it is that's going on for you. And what tends to happen is each and every time we are approaching or embarking on a new mini upgrade, some people call them an up level, right? There you'll experience either on a weaker level or on a very strong level, stuff that is going to really, really trouble you. Don't worry though, because when you can develop a really good strategy to convert those blocks or struggles or fears or those icky sort of situations into a powerful upgrade, then you'll never stay stuck for very long. What this requires is heightened awareness. And actually, I talk about this all the time. It's no surprise. Heightened awareness. And how do we achieve that? We spend time connecting with our inner being through meditation, through journaling, through being out in nature, through silence, through stillness, through holistic dance, so on and so forth. It can feel like there is no hope at all, though, when these things come up for you, especially when you feel as though you've been dealing with them for so long. Yeah, it's very easy to fall into victim mode when you're doing so much, you're trying so hard, you're pushing yourself forward so eagerly, and then another one of those old patterns shows itself again or rears its ugly head. Believe me, I completely understand. And that's why I want you to be really aware of how things can work. And this is a truth perhaps that isn't well documented. It's not talked about. But I want to give you the full lowdown. I want you to be aware that it isn't always going to be an easy ride. But that doesn't mean that we quit at the first sign of difficulty. Instead, I encourage you to take this attitude. And it would go something like this if we were to have a conversation with ourselves. Well, here I find myself yet again, but that is good because it indicates to me that I am one step closer to releasing all of the things that have been holding me back, because if I hadn't have began this next up level on my upgrade journey, I wouldn't have been aware of this limiting behavioral pattern, these limiting beliefs, these inner fears, these mind, body, or soul blocks. I wouldn't have been aware of them. So I'm really excited that they've showed up because it means that I can now clear them, release them, and convert them, and also heal anything that needs to be healed. So the truths about your upgrade journey perhaps aren't the most exciting ones. They're not the most appealing ones. They're not the ones that you're going to wake up in the morning thinking, oh, I really hope I experience one of those today. Far from it. But when we can be aware of what is possibly going to be coming towards us or emerging from within us, as it were, that we can hold on to our personal power. And rather than play into victim mode, we can take responsibility. And when we take responsibility, we are far less likely to quit. Because I want you to succeed more than you will ever really comprehend. If you've got any questions on the subject, or if you'd like to share part or some or all of your journey with us, hop over to the Facebook group, Upgrade with Maria Kay. I am absolutely in awe of your upgrade journey because I know what it takes to keep going. So I wish you the strength, the tenacity, and the courage and stamina to keep going on your up.